Welcome back, and I'm always glad to welcome our CEO, Brad Hudson, for the CEO Report. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure to be here and to share with you and our community some of the wonderful things that are happening.
And I'm just happy and laughing because you have the best stories about our community. I love hearing them because you really do. You get out there, you speak to the residents, you know what's going on.
Well, this is a really big time for us. We just completed the initial round of elections. We have more elections next week for the GRF board. So it's kind of a reshuffling, and there'll be committee assignment changes and leadership changes, and so then we'll move forward. It's also the time when we're finalizing the budget and putting those packages together to be mailed out to the residents. So residents will be getting a pretty thick package from us of a lot of disclosures and documents and declarations that we're required by law to provide them. There's something like 50 different pieces of information we're required to send. There's a whole list, and so a part of that is financials, and they can always find those financials on the website as well.
Oh, so, that's good.
Yeah, so we're going to start posting quarterly financials on the website, so they can. I can post them monthly, but there's not much change in a month. But quarterly, I think you might see some difference if you like to follow those sorts of things. And of course, all of our green book, our annual budget, all those things are now on the website and easy to find. And
they are easy to find. The website looks terrific, by the way.
It's really good, and it's been nominated for kind of a prestigious award.
Oh, really?
A
Which
Webby.
one? A Webby.
A Webby.
Oh, yes, I've heard of those awards.
And so we're pretty excited about that, and we've gotten a lot of compliments. That said, there were 30,000 pages of information on the previous website.
Oh.
And so we didn't transfer all that over. And so as residents have noticed things that, hey, we used to have this or we used to have that, and we're made aware of its significance, then a lot of times we'll bring it over.
Bring it over.
Because we still have that data out there. But we want to make that other website was too hard to find your way around. There was too much information there. And so we're trying to make this more streamlined, more user-friendly, and with more meaningful and up-to-date information.
And the transparency that you always like to bring forth. So you have all the information about the financials and those things. It's all going to be readily available on the website.
Well, and the financials will be going live, actually, the big part of them today.
Oh,
so
okay.
Loaded. We already have the budgets and all that stuff on there. This will be like the quarterly updates to the financials, kind of where we're doing with respect to this year's budget. And then the next real new wave is our contracts, having our contracts online as well. So if residents are interested in, how much did they pay for this, or how did this happen, and they can look at those contracts and get a good idea of what's going on. And also, the best part about putting a lot of information on our website, contracts, financials, other information, studies, reports, is that we have a lot of really smart people here in the village.
Yes, we do.
And they can look at that stuff, and they may come up with the perfect solution to a problem we have. But if you don't put the data out there, they're not going to. Then they're just guessing, just like the rest of us. But if you have the data, then they can look at that and analyze it and give us some ideas about how we might be able to improve things around here. So it's kind of the open data movement that you see a lot in government now. Not so much private business, because everything is so proprietary and they're in competition. But we're not really in competition with anybody. We're willing to share any of our best practices with other HOAs, and we get practices from them as well. And then, of course, we want to share that with our residents so they can, number one, be informed and be able to participate, but also share some good ideas with us as well. So it's a two-way street.
It does. It just looks terrific. And we have a shot of this up here right now. And that's a wonderful welcome that's readily available on our website.
Yeah, we have some wonderful photography, and I know a lot of that came from resident photographers.
We do have a lot of smart people there.
Who, by the way, they just put up a bunch of new photographs in the community center here on the first and second floor, and they're quite spectacular and taken by our local photographers. So if you're out and about and want to come by and look at a little art or some photography, the community center has a really nice display right now.
Well, I could see that's a good reason why we've been nominated for the Webby Award. We have all these terrific photographers giving their time and giving their talent to making our website look so beautiful. But it's just so easy to use. That's what I like about it. So right here it has the resident services page. And
right. No, it is very easy, and the secret tip here, which some of our residents don't know, but in the upper right-hand corner you have the hamburger menu. You got to go down, scroll down there, and there you go. And you click on that. Click on that. There you go, and that's your link to all the shortcuts to all the stuff you want to see. And so we hope that residents will take advantage of that, and you got to use the hamburger menu, which is the little three horizontal lines. Yes. And
it's not the Big Mac, it's the hamburger.
It's a hamburger menu.
Okay.
And so this is we're very, very excited about this, and it's been well received by residents and then also the sort of internet community who judges these things.
Oh, well, yes.
Yeah, and so we're deemed to have a really cool website. And,
well, there's so much to learn about the community, and I'm still kind of new here.
Right.
And a lot of people around here, I love it because they talk in a shorthand, and I'm picking up as fast as I can, but they really do talk in a shorthand about characters in the community and amenities and landmarks in the community, and this website is helping me get up to date.
Yeah, no, it's very, very useful, and it took a long time to roll out. But the next really new frontier on this website, in addition to the open data that I talked about earlier, is the resident portal, where we're going to make the website transactional, so you can do business on there.
Oh.
You know, buy an event ticket, pay your assessment, make a room reservation, do things online, sign in. You can already sign in your guests, but just to do things online, so that you don't have to call and wait on the phone or stand in a line or go down to the Performing Arts Center to buy a ticket. You can just do it all from the website. So that's an exciting new feature for us.
It really is, and it's such a help for the community as well. And you've been out and about, and you've been seeing all the things that are happening in the community. We do have our great website, so tell me some other things that are going on.
Well, I'm thinking about, because it's kind of the end of this year, we're finishing up a lot of programs. This was a big, big year for the housing mutuals. We really launched a number of important programs to really take care of a lot of deferred maintenance on the housing units themselves. And the biggest part of that is obviously attacking dry rot.
Yes.
And we've made a major effort towards that, and the boards have invested heavily in those programs, and that work is commencing right now. If you happen to live in one of those buildings that's getting like we're doing a beam replacement program in some of the LH21s.
Yes.
So if you live in one of those, you know well about the program. It's quite disruptive, and I apologize to those residents, but we got to get this work done to preserve those buildings. And then we're doing a lot of epoxy pipe lining, both the copper pipe, which is a smaller pipe, and then also the waste lines.
Yes.
And we're doing that in both the mutuals as well, and in amounts that are quite substantial, much more than has ever been done before. And so we're very excited about that. And the housing mutuals have taken the maintenance of these housing units as they're just a super high priority, and they are putting a lot of pressure on us, the staff, to get it done, to get them information so they can even do more.
Yes.
Because they really want to take care of this. They don't want to kick the can down the road. And so those are the two biggest things that we do. And we have some analytics that we use to determine, well, you've got like 2,700 buildings in the community, and so, well, which ones should you line the pipes on?
Right.
So you want to analyze all the historic leak data and all that sort of thing, and you get a sense when you do that of time of construction, maybe there are certain months or years, building type. And then just the plain building, if it has had 30 calls in the last year for leaky pipes, you probably ought to do that one.
That's true.
And so they do all that work, and then the board, looks at that data and helps us prioritize which ones to do first. And just anecdotally, I've found that to be very accurate, because I've had people call me up and say, they've been out to my building 3 times in the last year.
Yes.
Why isn't mine on the list?
Oh.
And I say, well, let me check, it might be, let me call you back. And so I'll check, and sure enough, it's on the list.
It's on the list, yes.
Yes, and so I haven't had an occurrence where somebody's called me and complained about multiple failures where they weren't on the list.
Oh.
So that's really the biggest thing. Towards the end of the year, we are finishing up the contracts that we let this year on those programs, dry rot, pipelining, and then we're doing a lot more of that next year. And so we've got those RFPs out to get contractors lined up, so January we can start right away and do some more.
Again. And the great thing about abating this dry rot is that you really can visually walk around and see the dry rot and the deterioration. But with the pipelines, in a community of this size and of this age, sometimes you know where those pipes are running and sometimes you don't. Anytime you start digging into the dirt, you might find a few surprises.
Yeah, we often do. And even with the dry rot, the stuff we can see is pretty easy to take care of. I think in the past it was easy just to patch it and paint over it. Right. We're not doing that anymore. That leaves the spores in there and it will continue to multiply. So we don't patch and paint. We remove and replace. And so, and that for a lot of the exterior wood, that's pretty easy to do, and our carpenters can do that. Where you have a problem is a lot of wood beams in these structures. When
it's structural.
And when you break into the stucco there and get a look at it, many of those beams are almost completely gone.
Oh.
And so it becomes a major structural concern. And not to mention that you want to get those spores and that contaminated wood out of the building.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's that's pretty big stuff. It's a problem that's been known for decades, but no one ever wanted to do anything about it.
Well, it's a big undertaking.
It is. Once you decide to do it, you're in.
Yes.
And so these boards have said, we're just going to take care of it. And so we've got a program. It'll last many years. Hopefully we can do more. And maybe if you are able to fix a lot of these pipes and have less leaks, that you can divert some of those resources to other things like dry rot or maybe some electrical problems or other things in the community that need attention. But when something's leaking, you have to take care of it right now. And so we have a huge team of plumbers, that are on call all the time or on site all the time because we have so many leaks, and that's a big expense for the community. So by fixing these pipes, maybe we can divert some of that attention somewhere else.
Yes.
So it'll be a few years, but I think it's a worthwhile effort and one that our residents will appreciate. Nothing worse than going out shopping or something, or maybe on vacation for a weekend, and then coming home and finding that your home's wet and your belongings are ruined. It happens a lot.
I don't live
it's
in
happened
the community,
to me too.
but yeah, right.
I know, and it
I know
really is
about that.
quite irritating, and to some of the people here, it's happened more than once.
Oh, it's happened more than once.
Yeah, so we're happy to take care of that.
Yeah.
Now looking forward, the other big things that we're looking at, obviously the GATE program.
Oh, yes.
And so we just got authority from GRF to go ahead and hire the engineers, and so we'll be doing that shortly. There's 8 gates that we're doing for next year. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is an exit only gate, so it's a little bit different. And then 7, 8, 9, and 14.
Yeah,
and so those are the gates we're doing. They're each unique and distinct and have to be designed individually. It's not like there's one design you can plug in.
Right.
And so we'll be doing that engineering and then starting construction. I think it'll take us easily a year to do all those gates, and maybe a little bit longer. And they won't be all done at once. That would be way too disruptive. So maybe you can do 2 at once, maybe. And when we did gates 5 and 6, we did them, one and the other in sequence, and it took quite a long time. So maybe 2 at a time. Maybe you could do gate 1 and gate 7 at the same time because they're very distinct, different communities, but probably not much more than that. So we're very excited to bring those improvements. Residents have been calling for increased security, and so this will definitely give it to us. And it also provides a lot of data about illegal occupants and people who are entering and exiting our community in an inappropriate fashion. And so we've found, for compliance purposes, the information is invaluable. So that's very, very good. And then probably the other really big thing for next year, everything else we're doing is small. Where you're fixing a restroom here and patching a roof here. We're adding some air conditioning, new air conditioning in a few of the clubhouses where the air conditioning units are 30 or 40 years old.
Right. They've done their job.
If you get 30 or 40 years out of an air conditioning unit, I think you've done quite well. And so we'll be doing some of that work. But the other sort of big thing that we're doing, it really deals with cable television.
Yes.
And providing the new DVR that allows access to, allows you to record a lot more, I think 6 programs at once, and it has access to over-the-top services like Hulu and Netflix and Amazon, all the things that kind of power users want to watch TV on their own terms.
Yes.
They don't want the cable company, in this case it's us, telling them what and when to watch, and I respect that.
Yes.
And so we want to provide them an opportunity to do that as well. And so this does that, but also provides a much better guide and increases our internet speed at the same time. And so the program I'm referring to is sort of the elimination of analog broadcast.
Yes.
And so for those that have analog TVs, they'll need to acquire a little device to switch that digital signal back to analog. We are maybe the last cable company in California broadcasting in analog. I can't prove that, but I can't find any that are doing it.
Well, it was kind of a federal mandate.
It was kind of a mandate,
criteria about 10 years ago.
Yeah, no,
we begin getting rid of those analog stations.
We're a late adopter.
Well, but I think it's been a conscientious and very careful progression because people are used to what they have and they wanted to keep going, and Laguna Woods Village really tried to honor that.
Right.
For
Well, the fact of the matter
as they
is,
possibly could.
for the cost of that little device,
Yes.
you could almost go out and buy a digital TV. Because that device is like $50, and you can buy a 20-inch digital TV for probably $60.
Oh my goodness!
And
I
so,
know there's like all sorts of tiers of hierarchies of prices too that you guys are going to.
Well, those are kind of discretionary.
Yes.
If you want, just a kind of be a standard digital box with 250 channels and no Showtime or HBO, then that's one price. And if you want that plus these premium channels, you pay a little more. And then if you want the big fancy DVR that we're going to be rolling out probably at the beginning of next year, then that's another price. But for just we have a lot of users who just like to plug into the wall.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And they get, I don't know, 100 or so channels. I don't know the exact number. Could be a little less or a little more, directly from the wall. And so that will be a little bit challenged as well. We'll have to chat about that. And then, of course, the analog users, they won't get anything when they plug into the wall. And so or very little.
Well, and that's...
Well, actually, they won't get anything. Yeah.
That's kind of already happened in the communities beyond our village.
Yes.
So if you're an analog-only user, their signals have been pulled down because they just aren't available. And it's for good reason, because the wider bandwidth that carries more signal is actually used for a lot of public safety and for announcements and for all kinds of wonderful uses that...
No, there was a lot of reasons why the feds went this route a decade ago. For us, it's a matter really of having old equipment. No one makes analog equipment. No one works on it. Poor Hank. We have like the last analog repairman in the world. I mean, he's right here in our village. So we've got old, outdated equipment that's hard to replace. So that's a reason. And then it uses a lot of bandwidth. For each channel you broadcast in analog, you can do 14 or 15 in digital.
Right.
And so you're using up a big part of your cable on these analog channels when you want to offer these enhanced services and also increase the bandwidth for our internet service. So we're going to, I'm just touching on it and I'm not the expert, we're going to have a number of town halls on this subject. I know you're working on producing a kind of a film about it to tell people what's going on.
Episode, television show about that.
It's going to be a big issue for the community, and we want to treat residents respectfully and provide lots of opportunity for them to offer input and to understand what's going on, and then provide options for either getting these devices if they want them, or maybe a new TV, and then you've got analog TV if folks decide not to use them, and we think there's quite a few here still. then they have to be disposed of properly. I mean,
that's true.
There's a pretty big exercise here, and again, we're going to take it slow
Yes.
and methodical, and there are options that we can explore, and so I think we have really a year that we're going to be doing this kind of in a steady pace. So it's a great opportunity. Our village is going to be served much better, but it'll be a challenge too.
Well, every step along the way, there's been a challenge to be met. You know, years ago when we installed the closed circuit cable system here in the village, that was an undertaking, and it was a big one. And then we had the black and white cameras, and that switched over to the color cameras. And every step along the way, it's been a challenge. It's been a step forward, but it's always been carefully considered, even if it seemed like such a big change.
Well, this will be a big change. Residents, I mean, we've been talking about it for a year now. We did a village television vision document. We talked about it in there. We've had a couple of town halls where we've talked about it. Usually when we have town halls on cable, the internet users swamp the meeting and demand more bandwidth. And so you end up talking about internet and not cable. And so these next meetings we're going to have, we're not talking about internet.
Okay.
It's just cable.
All right.
And television.
Right.
And so we kind of limit it. Otherwise, the power internet users come in and they want 200 megabytes of download, and we're like, oh, come on. So anyway, it'll be exciting. I look forward to engaging the community on it. I know there's a lot of opinion out there, and we can make things a lot better for everyone. And that's the way I want to approach this. So that's a big thing. Again, a lot of other things going on in the community. We're going to be calling folks together to talk about potentially combining gates 11 and 10.
Yes.
And I know I don't have strong feelings about it. You could save some money by doing it. It would be a change in the way our traffic pattern flows in that area. Some residents may not like that. So I think we're going to get everybody together and see if the amount of money you can save makes sense in terms of how you're going to kind of rearrange that portion of the community. And so we look forward to engaging the community on that as well. That's a big thing. Just many things going on, and communication is always the key part of this. I did want to hit on, we're starting to hit the raining season.
Yes, I like it. It's
Well,
very pleasant.
it
to have
is
a little
nice,
sprinkle of
but it
rain.
presents challenges here on our
Yes.
hills and slopes. We have a lot of drains around, and you may have seen, and if you haven't, you will, our guys coming around and cleaning out all of those drains. And
Oh, right. I have seen some of the big trucks.
they have a big truck, they have a pump, and
nozzle
they'll do that. And some of the
Right.
more remote ones, the guys will just go up there and try to do it more manually. But they'll be out and about, and they started a month or so ago, and they'll be going for another, well, probably till the end of the rainy season because things get clogged up. And so I wanted just to alert residents that that's going on. We also just initiated a new carport cleaning system. We've just made our first round.
Oh.
What we used to do is a couple times a year, maybe 3 times a year, we'd take 16 landscapers, put blowers on them, and
Give
have
'em a broom.
and give them a broom and a,
Yeah.
and a big sweeper truck, and they'd go through the community very quickly, stirring up a lot of dust and cleaning out the carports. But there was one thing they weren't doing when they were doing that.
Oh.
That's working on your landscaping, because they were cleaning your carport.
You're right.
And so we have kind of automated that process, and so we've got a new smaller vacuum truck that's got a snorkel on it, and they can whip through these carports really fast
that's
with just a couple of guys. And so they just made their first round through the community, and I've just gotten a lot of feedback that, wow, the carports are cleaner than they've ever been, and part of that is technology, and we've got a couple of pretty good guys working on that too. But big change. Again, that should help with some of the drains as well, as we're kind of vacuuming a lot of that material up. And they can get back in with this truck also into cul-de-sacs and things that are hard to get to with a big sweeper and clean those areas up as well. So we're thinking this is not only going to give you a better carport, but it's going to help our drains function a little bit better as well. So just a lot of storm prep. We've got a lot of guys out looking for trees that need special attention prior to the winter, so we're doing that, and landscaping improvements continue aggressively under the new management we have there. So it's a good time to live in the village, and many exciting things happening.
Well, we love hearing about these exciting things and having your CEO report here on this day. And I can't thank you enough. This is a lot of good news that we've heard today.
Well, there's so much,
right.
And I can go on and on about this, and I do sometimes. I appreciate you stopping me. But I look forward to coming on again, and there's just some really wonderful things that are going on that I didn't share today that I'll save for next time.
Terrific, and we will see you next time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for joining us. We'll be right back after this.